Money to wealth. Wealth is a mindset before it's a bank balance. The true origin of wealth is your mind. Wealth is not born in bank accounts, investment portfolios, or luxury possessions. It is first conceived in the mind, before riches manifest. In material form, they are forged in thought, attitude, and discipline. As countless thinkers, entrepreneurs, and philosophers have said in various forms, rich people think big, poor people think small. In this truth lies a profound lesson. Your financial reality is a reflection of your internal world. The journey to abundance begins with understanding that money is a tool, not a destination. It's not about the money. It's about the life I want to live. This shift in mindset, from chasing cash to cultivating value, defines the difference between fleeting fortune and lasting legacy. The mindset of wealth includes patience, delayed gratification, self-education, financial literacy, purposeful action, and the humility to serve others. Stoic wisdom aligns powerfully with this ethos. Seneca taught that it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Marcus Aurelius believed that true riches come from the governance of the self. And Epictetus insisted, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This video will explore how your mindset molds your wealth by diving into your thoughts, decisions, and beliefs about money. Then we will unpack why financial freedom begins not in what you earn, but in how you think. Before we start going deeply into these lessons, first we want to thank you for your unconditional kindness for liking, commenting on, and sharing our previous videos. That kindness makes us strong for producing new and meaningful videos. Secondly, we want to please you to continue to correct us in your comments, to like this video, to share it to your loved ones, and to support us by subscribing to this channel. For more motivational and inspirational videos, Lesson 1. Wealth begins in the mind before it touches your hands. Before a single dollar is made or a single investment placed, wealth is cultivated in the mind. A poor mindset will squander even great opportunities, while a wealthy mindset can multiply the smallest of chances. As one of your quotes wisely states, the rich invest in time, the poor invest in money. The emphasis here is clear. It's not about how much you earn, but how you think about time, value, and opportunity. Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This Stoic truth underlines a core principle of the wealthy mindset: contentment and intentionality. A person who constantly chases more is enslaved to their desires. In contrast, someone who cultivates inner peace can accumulate not only material resources but also peace of mind. The quote, "Rich people believe I create my life. Poor people believe life happens to me," reinforces this personal responsibility. The wealthy mindset accepts full accountability. It doesn't blame circumstances, the economy, or luck. It takes ownership and asks, what can I learn, improve, or create today? Another reminder from states, money moves from those who do not manage it to those who do. This highlights a mental skill, discipline. Managing money isn't about mathematics, it's about mindset. A disciplined, focused mind doesn't wait for wealth to arrive. It is already practicing stewardship over what it has, however small. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, taught that happiness comes from living in agreement with nature and reason. A wealthy mind, therefore, lives in harmony with reality. It doesn't deny hardships, but uses them as fuel. This attitude is echoed in your quote, "The longer you're not taking action, the more money you're losing." Action flows from belief. When your beliefs are abundant, confident, and value-driven, your actions naturally align with prosperity. To think like a wealthy person is not to worship money, but to respect its utility, understand its purpose, and Use it to build a life aligned with higher values. Your quote, "Spend your money on the things money can buy. Spend your time on the things money can't buy," illustrates the heart of true wealth, the ability to prioritize meaning over material. The Stoics, like Cato the Younger, were famously indifferent to wealth in a superficial sense, but not ignorant of its power. Cato lived simply, not because he couldn't live richly, but because his principles meant more to him than luxury. Similarly, the modern wealthy mindset prioritizes freedom, value, and self-discipline over flashy spending. In conclusion, wealth does not start with income. It starts with your thinking. And as another of your quotes so powerfully puts it, if you don't get serious about your money, you will never have serious money. The journey to financial abundance begins in the quiet choices you make daily, in your head, before they ever affect your wallet. Lesson 2. The difference between being rich and feeling rich. One of the greatest misunderstandings in life is the confusion between being rich and feeling rich. Many people chase a number in their bank account thinking it will bring them peace, but they arrive at the destination still empty. Your quote speaks volumes. If money's where you find happiness, you'll always be poor. This is not a condemnation of money. It's a truth about fulfillment. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Wealth, by Stoic definition, is not just about what you have, but your relationship with what you have. A rich person with an impoverished heart will never feel peace. But someone with a peaceful, contented mind, even with modest means, is truly wealthy. The quote, "You don't get the life you dream of by it being handed to you. You get it by hustling," reinforces that the feeling of richness is rooted in effort, ownership, and purpose. The chase of purpose, not possessions, is what creates a fulfilling, enriched life. Marcus Aurelius echoed this when he said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." True wealth is being free from envy, comparison, and insecurity. As a quote, "Too many people buy things they don't need with money they don't have to impress people they don't like. That is a poverty trap disguised as luxury. The real richness is not in the size of the house, but the peace within its walls. Not the brand of the clothes, but the confidence of the soul wearing them." Another quote says, "A rich man is nothing but a poor man with money." This profound statement reminds us that adding money to a poor mindset only magnifies the poverty. Money doesn't automatically fix character, it reveals it. That's why Gaius Musonius Rufus, the Stoic teacher, taught that virtue is the highest. Wealth and training the mind was the path to true success. Money, like vodka, turns a person into an eccentric. This humorously speaks to the truth that money amplifies who you already are. If you are generous, money will make you more generous. If you are insecure, it will deepen your insecurity. That is why the Stoics insisted on inner training before outer riches. The quote, "It's not about the money. It's about the life I want to live," reflects a truly wealthy attitude. Wealth is about freedom, freedom to live your values, freedom to spend time with people you love, freedom to say no to what does not align with your purpose. Being rich is having money. Being wealthy is having time. That's the difference between appearing rich and being truly rich. Time, health, purpose, joy, peace. These are the currencies of the wealthy mindset. The Stoics knew this deeply. Epictetus reminds us, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. In the end, to feel rich is to live with gratitude, intention, and purpose. One of your quotes declares, "If you want to feel rich, just count all of the things you have that money can't buy." That is the practice of daily wealth, recognizing your blessings and living as if you already have enough. Because in truth, you do. Lesson 3. Habits that make you wealthy long before the money comes. Wealth doesn't arrive as a lightning strike. It builds like the slow sunrise of disciplined habits. Before there's money in the bank, there are mindsets in motion. Your quote affirms this truth. The rich invest their money and spend what is left. The poor spend their money and invest what is left. This is not about financial literacy alone. It's about daily choices rooted in discipline, delayed gratification, and focus. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wrote, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." And this attitude begins with practice. Habits are the bricks of the mansion we hope to live in one day. Rich people aren't lucky, they are consistent. Their rituals revolve around health, reflection, self-education, and bold action. Habits, long in place before any riches appeared. It said clearly, money, knowledge, and success all happen when you get up and work for them. The wealthy mindset is built in the early morning hours, in books rather than screens, in saving rather than spending, in asking questions rather than pretending to know. The Stoics practiced simplicity and resilience. They believed in strengthening the will, not softening the spirit. Another quote delivers this message with force. The longer you're not taking action, the more money you're losing. Wealth waits for no one. You must pursue it with energy and persistence. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, "I have to go to work as a human being." That is the mindset of the wealthy, not that they love effort, but they respect it. It has been written, invest in as much of yourself as you can. You are your own biggest asset by far. This is the very core of Stoic wealth. Seneca declared, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. To the Stoic, the best investment is wisdom. The better your mind, the sharper your choices. The stronger your body, the longer your endurance. The calmer your soul, the clearer your judgment point. One of the most powerful quote reads, if you don't get serious about your money, you will never have serious money. Taking control begins with awareness. What you track, you control. What you plan, you execute. What you ignore, you lose. And as you wisely put it, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. The most successful people never stop learning because they understand that your earning will only grow to the extent that you do. Even something as simple as your daily routine has lasting effects. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. This classic principle echoes Stoic thought. In the words of Cleanthes, lead me, Zeus, and you, O destiny, wherever you have assigned me. I shall follow, doubting nothing. Discipline over mood. Commitment over convenience. Don't go broke trying to look rich. That's not just a quote. That's a mirror for our age. Wealthy habits are quiet. Poor habits are loud. The true millionaire reads at dawn, writes down goals, cooks at home, drives a reliable car, and makes compound interest their best friend. They know what you beautifully articulated. Just because you can afford it doesn't mean you should buy it. Wealthy habits come from a powerful why. As quotes reveal again and again, wealth is not the end, but the result of living intentionally. From budgeting to mindfulness, from gratitude journaling to exercise, from reading to saving, your habits will always write your future. Because at the end of the day, as you declared, you don't get rich by spending your time to save money. You get rich by saving your time to make money. And that's what wealthy people do. They use their habits to master time, and with time, they create the life they deserve. Lesson 4. Stop buying, start building. Point one of the most harmful illusions in the modern world is the idea that wealth is best demonstrated through spending. Flashy cars, designer clothes, exotic vacations, and status symbols often create the image of wealth, but not the substance of it. As the powerful quote says, Stop buying things you don't need to impress people you don't even like. True wealth is not about consumption. It's about creation, contribution, and control over your future, Seneca taught. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. In other words, wealth begins with enough. When your mind is at peace with what you have, you stop chasing approval and start building purpose. The wealthy mindset sees spending as a tool, not an identity. Many of quotes support this. The goal isn't more money. The goal is living life on your terms. Be your money's master, not its slave. You can have all the money in the world, but with no friends and no family, it's no good. These aren't just ideas, they're values. Values that shift your mind away from buying things for validation and toward building things for freedom. You build systems. You build assets. You build relationships. You build skills. The rich don't chase things, they create leverage. The Stoics remind us that meaning is never found in excess. Zeno of Citium founded Stoicism after losing everything in a shipwreck. From poverty came one of the richest philosophies ever known. As he realized, man conquers the world by conquering himself. In this spirit, wealth is about managing desires, not inflating them. Another quote cuts deep. Rich people stay rich by living like they are broke. Broke people stay broke by living like they are rich. It's a paradox. Pretending to be rich keeps you poor, while behaving modestly can make you wealthy. A man with a vision can sacrifice today's dopamine for tomorrow's dividends. Every dollar you don't spend is a brick you can lay in your financial foundation. Each one is a seed. And as you wisely put it, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. So rather than spending money to decorate your life, use it to design your life. One more quote stands out here. Rich people act in spite of fear. Poor people let fear stop them. Fear often drives unnecessary spending. Fear of missing out, fear of judgment, fear of boredom. But building requires courage. It requires you to say no to comfort so you can say yes to control. Your money should work harder than you do. You said it brilliantly. You don't get the life you dream of by it being handed to you. You get it by hustling. Change your focus from making money to serving more people. Serving people makes the money come in. Wealthy people are builders. They understand that money is not the goal, it's the fuel. Fuel to build the kind of life that has meaning. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, not the quality of your things. So stop buying. Start building. A mindset of wealth begins when you invest not in what glitters, but in what grows. Before we continue, first we want to thank you for your unconditional kindness for liking, commenting on, and sharing our previous videos. That kindness makes us strong for producing new and meaningful videos. Secondly, we want to please you to continue to correct us in your comments, to like this video, to share it to your loved ones, and to support us by subscribing to this channel. For more motivational and inspirational videos, Lesson 5, Control Your Emotions, Control Your Money. Wealth begins in the mind, but it is often lost in the emotions. One of the most striking quotes reminds us, if you cannot control your emotions, you cannot control your money. Emotional discipline is the bridge between a poor mindset and a rich life. Fear, greed, pride, jealousy, and impatience are the 5 thieves of wealth, and without awareness, they quietly rob you of your financial future. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus taught, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. In other words, it's not money that ruins people, it's their emotional attachment to it. When you attach your self-worth to your net worth, you invite instability into your soul. Emotional spending becomes your coping mechanism, and the pursuit of wealth becomes reactionary rather than strategic. A quote perfectly says, don't go broke trying to go rich. That's what happens when emotions take the wheel. People spend money to appear successful before they actually are. They take financial risks not from logic, but from desperation. But the wealthy mindset is rooted in emotional intelligence. The quote, "The longer you're not taking action, the more money you're losing," is also about emotions. Fear paralyzes. The mind imagines catastrophe. But as Seneca observed, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. When your emotions rule you, money escapes you, not because of circumstance, but because of hesitation. When you have $1 million vision, don't surround yourself with 1-cent minds. The people around you influence your emotions, and your emotions influence your financial behavior. Surround yourself with scarcity thinkers, and you'll absorb their fear. Surround yourself with wealthy thinkers, and you'll absorb their calm, their discipline, and their clarity. The rich invest in time, the poor invest in money. That shows the Stoic separation between appearance and truth. Wealthy people think long-term. They delay gratification. They do not chase dopamine, they design outcomes. This is emotional mastery in action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The same is true of money. When you master your emotions, you stop chasing and start creating. You stop fearing loss and start engineering leverage. One of the quotes puts it bluntly, "Money moves from those who do not manage it to those who do." And managing money begins with managing self. Not just your impulses, but your envy, your insecurity, and your need for validation. These emotional shadows sabotage the wealthy mindset. Rich people believe, "I create my life." Poor people believe, "Life happens to me." This difference is emotional. The first attitude creates ownership, the second creates blame. And when you blame, you give away your power. Wealth begins with reclaiming it. And as Chrysippus might remind us, virtue is the highest good. The discipline to wait, the patience to grow, the courage to invest. All of these are emotional muscles. And wealth is the reward for those who train them. Control your emotions. Control your mind. Control your money. It's not about what you feel. It's about what you do with what you feel. And that, more than anything, separates the rich from the broke. Lesson 6. Investment is self-respect in action. True wealth begins when you invest not just money, but effort, vision, and self-respect. This powerful quote says it plainly. Invest in as much of yourself as you can. You are your own biggest asset by far. That principle is the bedrock of both Stoic philosophy and financial wisdom. When you treat yourself like you're most important investment, everything changes. Your time, your habits, your health, your knowledge, your relationships. The Stoics echoed this truth centuries ago. Epictetus urged, "Know, first, who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." In other words, put your energy where it multiplies. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, how can you expect the world to invest in you? Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. It dismantles the old idea that credentials equal success. A wealthy mindset doesn't wait for permission. It reads, it studies, it experiments, it builds. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of Rome, yet he journaled his thoughts in meditations, reminding himself daily to keep learning and keep growing. That's the humility of the rich in spirit and the discipline of the truly wealthy. Another quote cuts straight to the heart. If you don't get serious about your money, you will never have serious money. And getting serious starts with getting serious about yourself, your routines, your habits, your mindset. As Seneca wrote, "Wealth is the slave of a wise man, the master of a fool." You can't rule money if you don't first rule yourself. You don't get the life you dream of by it being handed to you. You get it by hustling. You hustle by investing. Time in books, money in skills, focus in daily growth. Money isn't just earned, it's attracted to value. And you are the source of that value. There's gold in another one of your quotes. Money, knowledge, and success all happen when you get up and work for them. Wealth is not a passive experience. It's earned through active ownership of your energy, of your outcomes, and most of all, of your excuses. The Stoics had no tolerance for blaming external forces. Zeno of Citium, founder of Stoicism, lost everything in a shipwreck. What did he do? He started studying philosophy. His loss became his investment, and that investment became a legacy. It's simple arithmetic. Your income can grow only to the extent that you do. This line of yours is not just financial advice. It's a blueprint for life. You are the multiplier. Everything else, money, opportunity, even luck, flows from that equation. And your willingness to grow determines how much flows in your direction. The money you attract is the exact measure of value of the ideas you have succeeded in externalizing. That's powerful. It means your bank account is a mirror of your creativity, your execution, and your self-respect. And like Cleanthes taught, you must align your internal harmony with your external actions. A wise person invests internally first, then expresses that wisdom in the world. When you have $1 million vision, don't surround yourself with 1-cent minds. This isn't just about friends. It's about your inner circle, your mentors, the books you read, the voices you allow to shape your beliefs. If you don't protect your investment, your mind, it gets devalued. So don't wait. Begin today. Every act of discipline is an investment. Every hour of learning compounds. Every ounce of self-respect builds wealth, even when the bank balance doesn't show it. Yet, invest in yourself because no one else can do it for you. You are your greatest asset, your most lucrative stock, and your most powerful source of wealth. The wealthy mindset knows this. The broke mindset ignores it. Lesson 7. Wealth is a habit, not a windfall. Point. One of the most common lies people tell themselves is that they'll become wealthy overnight by some sudden windfall, a lucky break, or a big promotion. But wealth is not a windfall. It's a pattern, a practice, a habit. One of the quotes puts it clearly. The habit of saving is itself an education. It fosters every virtue, teaches self-denial, cultivates the sense of order, trains to forethought, and so broadens the mind. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." That craving mindset never builds wealth. It burns through opportunity and blinds people to the truth. Every moment is a chance to build a financial habit that compounds. Wealthy people do what unsuccessful people don't do daily: save, plan, invest, and think long-term. The quote, "Money makes money, and the money that makes money makes more money," is the very essence of compounding. But compounding doesn't work if you constantly interrupt it. If you spend every extra cent, if you don't follow a consistent system. Discipline fuels compounding. The Stoics were masters of discipline, not for appearance, but for function. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This is the power of habit, desiring less, needing less, and being more. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. It's not just an old proverb, it's a habit of winners. It's a philosophy of routine. While others are distracted by pleasure or paralyzed by fear, the wealthy mindset repeats its daily rituals. Learn, earn, and build. If you would be wealthy, think of saving as well as getting. This quote is golden. Saving is not what you do after you get rich. Saving is what makes you rich. Wealthy people build barriers between themselves and unnecessary spending. As Cleanthes taught, he who has the most is not rich, but he who wants the least. The practice of delaying gratification, of choosing patience over impulse, is a daily wealth-building habit. Then there's the quote, "Minutes are worth more than money. Spend them wisely." Time is the currency of habits. How you spend your minutes becomes how you spend your life, and your habits decide your future. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be." B1. Apply the same rule to wealth. Waste no more time dreaming of being rich. Build the habits that make you one. Money has no gray areas. You either make it or you lose it. This quote speaks to the power of consistency. Every good financial habit you neglect becomes a wealth leak. Every budget ignored is a missed opportunity. Wealthy people understand that they are only as rich as their financial behaviors allow. Even Warren Buffett echoed this truth when he said, "Chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken." The same applies to both good and bad financial habits. You may not feel the weight of skipping that budget review today, but over time, the cost becomes real. And don't forget this. Many people take no care of their money till they come nearly to the end of it, and others do just the same with their time. Bad habits around time and money often go together. Wealthy minds guard both because they know they're both finite. In the end, the most powerful wealth-building plan is simple. Create habits that build discipline. Practice them daily. Automate your growth. And never underestimate the silent power of small, repeated actions. Lesson 8. Freedom over flash. What wealth really means. Real wealth is not loud. It doesn't scream from flashy cars, designer labels, or extravagant vacations. It whispers in the form of peace, options, and time. As one of your quotes brilliantly puts it, being rich is having money. Being wealthy is having time. That single sentence captures the difference between illusion and essence. The Stoics were never impressed by outward show. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." That way of thinking, rooted in inner peace and control, is the soil where real wealth grows. Wealthy minds pursue freedom over status. They chase the ability to say no, to walk away, to choose how their hours are spent. The goal isn't more money. The goal is living life on your terms. This powerful quote reminds us that wealth is about liberation, not accumulation. Epictetus taught, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." The wealthy mindset detaches from shallow metrics and focuses on autonomy, meaning, and fulfillment. Another quote says, "Money is not the only answer, but it makes a difference." That difference isn't in gold watches. It's in being able to take a day off to spend time with your family. It's in the freedom to pursue what matters to you. If money's where you find happiness, you'll always be poor. Real wealth isn't found in your bank account. It's found in the richness of your experience, purpose, and relationships. The real measure of your wealth is how much you'd be worth if you lost all your money. This quote gets to the soul of the matter: your skills, values, mindset, and ability to navigate life without panic. That is your true wealth. Seneca reinforced this when he wrote, "Wealth is the slave of a wise man and the master of a fool." Who is in control, you or your possessions? A wealthy person sees beyond consumption. One of your quotes puts it plainly: spend your money on the things money can buy. Spend your time on the things money can't buy. That's real wisdom. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that life is fleeting and death is inevitable. So why waste our freedom trading hours for things? The quote, "Too many people buy things they don't need with money they don't have to impress people they don't like," is not just a social critique. It's a philosophical warning. Zeno of Citium, founder of Stoicism, believed in living according to nature, which meant rejecting the artificial values of society. In today's world, that means prioritizing freedom over flaunting. A rich life isn't filled with clutter. It's defined by clarity. You don't get rich by spending your time to save money. You get rich by saving your time to make money. The wealthy prioritize what matters most and discard what doesn't. They value time over trinkets, growth over gratification, freedom over flash. When you know how to make money, you're obligated to. But that obligation is not just about money. It's about how you use it. Are you using it to trap yourself in debt and status? Or are you using it to buy back your time and create a life that truly matters? In the words of Epictetus, he is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he is not, but rejoices for those which he has. Wealthy people celebrate what they already possess: their mind, their skills, their family, their values. These are the assets that matter. To be truly rich is to own your life, not just the things in it, but the path you're walking. And that is something no price tag can measure. Before we continue, first we want to thank you for your unconditional kindness for liking, commenting on, and sharing our previous videos. That kindness makes us strong for producing new and meaningful videos. Secondly, we want to please you to continue to correct us in your comments, to like this video, to share it to your loved ones, and to support us by subscribing to this channel. For more motivational and inspirational videos, Lesson 9, From Scarcity to Abundance, Rewriting the Money Narrative. Wealth does not begin with numbers, it begins with narratives. Many people unknowingly live with a deeply ingrained scarcity mindset, the silent belief that there is never enough. This story, often inherited through generations of fear, struggle, and limitation, becomes a subconscious script directing decisions, fears, and self-worth. But it can be rewritten. Just as a person can choose a new path, they can choose a new story, one where abundance is not only possible, but inevitable. A.S. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The shift from scarcity to abundance begins in the mind. It requires observing and replacing old beliefs like, "I can't afford that," with empowering truths like, "How can I afford this?" This mental reprogramming transforms limitation into possibility. Epictetus advised, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." A person who understands their enoughness breaks the illusion of lack. When you stop measuring your value by comparison, you begin to notice the wealth already within and around you: skills, relationships, ideas, integrity. Abundance is a frequency, not a figure. It's a mindset of possibility, of seeing opportunities rather than obstacles. A person operating in abundance recognizes that the world is not a zero-sum game. One person's success does not diminish another's. It proves what's possible. Musonius Rufus taught that it is not riches that corrupt the soul, but the greed and fear that attach to them. Cultivating abundance means cultivating gratitude and vision. Chrysippus reminded us that it is the role of philosophy to treat the diseases of the soul. Scarcity is one such disease. It makes people hoard, panic, mistrust. Abundance, by contrast, opens the hand and the heart. It encourages sharing, investing, expanding. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, said Epictetus, but rejoices for those which he has. Rewriting your money narrative starts with conscious language. Instead of "I'll never be rich," say, "I am learning how to grow wealth." Instead of "I can't make money doing what I love," say, "I am discovering how my passion can serve others profitably." This is not fantasy. It is a disciplined shift in internal dialogue, supported by purposeful action. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." The abundance mindset tames craving and replaces it with vision. It recognizes that wealth flows where focus and service go. Money becomes the byproduct of alignment, of living with clarity, offering real value, and removing self-sabotage. In practical terms, embracing abundance means investing in yourself without guilt, surrounding yourself with people who challenge and inspire you, and staying open to growth. It means no longer clinging to fear-based savings while ignoring high-return investments like skills, networks, or new ventures. From scarcity to abundance is not a leap. It's a series of intentional steps, with each belief challenged and replaced. With each action taken in faith rather than fear, the narrative changes. The truth is, you were never truly poor. You were simply undernourished in mindset. Once you begin thinking like someone worthy of wealth, you become the person capable of achieving it. Lesson 10. The wealth you pass on, beyond dollars. True wealth isn't measured just by how much you accumulate, but by what you leave behind, not in your bank account, but in people's lives. A quote reads, "Teach your kids about money before they're old enough to earn their own." That's a legacy rooted in wisdom, not just wealth. It's about passing down the mindset of abundance, discipline, and purpose. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This is the foundation of generational wealth, not money, but character. A mindset that values patience over panic, contribution over consumption, service over status. The world has taught many to pass down luxuries, houses, and financial inheritance. But Stoicism teaches us to pass down virtues. One of your quotes puts it perfectly. "Be careful to leave your sons well instructed rather than rich, for the hopes of the instructed are better than the wealth of the ignorant." That's not just fatherly advice, it's financial philosophy. Wealth inherited without understanding is wealth lost. The person who doesn't know where his next dollar is coming from usually doesn't know where his last dollar went. Teach the next generation to not only earn, but to understand, to reflect, to align their money with their values. Epictetus said, "Only the educated are free." In today's world, that includes financial education, emotional discipline, and personal responsibility. Wealth without wisdom is a curse in disguise. It leads to entitlement, recklessness, and loss. But wealth coupled with a strong mind builds empires, not of glass towers, but of generations that thrive. Make sure you are building a life while you build your wealth. That's the message the next generation needs most. Pass down the idea that success isn't about how much money you make. It's about the difference you make in people's lives. Let that be the banner over your household and your legacy. Cato the Younger believed that virtue and integrity were more valuable than even the Roman treasury. He died with dignity because he lived with principles. That's generational wealth, that it's not the amount of money you leave behind that will matter most. It's the mindset you instilled, the habits, the discipline, the belief that freedom, purpose, and service matter more than income brackets. If money's where you find happiness, you'll always be poor. But if you pass down a rich spirit, a generous heart, and a strong mind, your family will never go broke. Seneca reminds us, "A man who has learned to be content with what he has will never be poor." Teach that, live that, model that. Your children and your legacy will thank you. This is the final and most important lesson of all. True wealth is never just about you. It's about what lives on through you. Redefining wealth from the inside out. Wealth is not the number in your bank account. It is the condition of your mind, the strength of your discipline, and the clarity of your purpose. It begins the moment you realize that money is a tool, not a master. It grows as you shift from scarcity to abundance, from fear to confidence, from consumer to creator. Some quotes powerfully echo. Invest in as much of yourself as you can. You are your own biggest asset by far. And money, knowledge, and success all happen when you get up and work for them. Wealth is not a privilege granted. It is a mindset earned through sweat, focus, and an unshakable belief in your worth. The Stoics remind us that inner richness is the only true wealth. Seneca stated, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is, poor." Marcus Aurelius added, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself." These are not just philosophical musings. They are life strategies that redefine what it means to be rich. From every dollar earned to every second spent, your wealth is built not on external status, but on internal sovereignty. The freedom to choose, the courage to serve, the wisdom to grow. This is how you become rich, mentally, spiritually, and eventually, financially. The goal isn't more money. The goal is living life on your terms. In the end, that is the wealth we are all searching for. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for subscribing to this channel. Thank you very much for your unconditional support. God continue to bless you. Amen. See you again.